already starting this project. I've chopped all my wood, cut all my angles, and then we just have to glue it together. So it's already like done and stuff. My other camera isn't going, oops. But it's been a while since I've like built something, and you know, that's like in my name, Beth the Builder. So I thought I should. So I'd had this idea as a gift, and I'd seen it in like some little like Pinterest compilation thing of like some easy wood projects, which I know what you're gonna say, Beth, you've been betrayed by Pinterest. And you're right, I have been betrayed by Pinterest. First of all, this isn't like a dumb Pinterest craft. I have a bunch of pallets because my part-time job, they get pallets in all the time, so I can just take them. It's freaking great. So the pallet I chopped up for this was in really, really good condition. Very few nails. I just chopped it up, pulled nails, super easy. It's all really, really pale wood. I've sanded it some. It had some raw edges to the wood, which I kept because I think that look is really cool. And it is heat treated. So it's all across every single board, heat treated on the pallet. And if you want to know more about that, check out this video right there where I talk about more about that very thing of what you want to be aware of if you're going to use pallets for wood and projects and stuff. If you want to support me, like lots of people have, send me an email, check out my Patreon, Etsy, and also you guys can get a discount if you use my promo code for Cutsall, so do that if you carve. So this is kind of what I'm calling is kind of like a Knick Knack shelf. So I'd seen it on Pinterest, I've seen them other places, I think they're kind of cool. Making it out of like rustic reclaimed pallet wood I think is really interesting. It does have some, you know, using pallet wood, there are some like flaws because you might get like warped boards, things that aren't exactly straight, so you kind of gotta like work with what it is. But so far so good. Putting it together was probably the most difficult thing. It's like a puzzle, you know, because I wanted all the pieces to fit really tight and really good, so I chopped the majority of them and fit them together like roughly, holding them together with like stuff around them as I went so that I knew what things were gonna fit, what I needed to trim. And using exclusively my miter saw. If you're cutting angles and you're gonna do a little project or whatever, your miter saw is the best. Cutting wood, cutting things in general, there is a skill to it. You think like chop board, but it's really not that simple. There's plenty of things that go into it to make it like precise, and for genuine builders to build a house or whatever, that's like incredibly impressive of how precise you need to be. So it's definitely a skill. I have totally overlooked so many like aspects of getting proficient in that, and my miter saw, it makes it 10,000 times easier than using a hand saw or a circle saw. It's fixed in place, it will cut straight, versus anything else, you're the thing that has to keep straight, and unless you're using a guide, which is really helpful. I learned a lot of really cool stuff and like tips and tricks and whatever from reading in books I have, but I also have learned a bunch from The Honest Carpenter. He's a really, really cool guy, really cool channel. I don't know why I'm giving bigger channels shout outs. They should be giving me shout outs, but I do really want to like encourage people to watch things that I have found helpful, because that's how you learn, is watching not just like people doing shit, but also like experts and people who have a lot of like experience, you know, 10 times more than me, because I'm young and I haven't been doing this stuff that long. So something to be aware of in your woodworking stuff is kerf. In case you've never heard of this, I hadn't heard of this, and it's incredibly important. Basically, kerf is the wood that is lost when you chop a board. So sawdust doesn't just magically appear like fairy dust, it's from the board you're chopping. So you're actually losing like a 1/16 of an inch or something to sawdust, which guess what, if you don't know about this, every single cut you make will be wrong, which I have totally run into, and I've been like, what's happening to me? Like, am I insane? Am I actually really bad at this? No. It's a thing that I didn't even know about. And I took like, you know, a woodworking thing in high school, and I never learned about this. And my dad is incredibly handy, never taught me about this. So it must be like a secret carpenter thing that you have to like get really, really knowledgeable to like get to know about this or something. But anyway, now you know about kerf. It's just like an interesting, you know, fun fact, I guess. So I'm waiting for this to dry. You can see it here. It's all clamped up. Basically everything's glued in place. I put some kind of, let me wipe up a glue drip. I put some screws in just to hold a couple places in place because I only have 4 really big clamps. So guess what you should always ask for Christmas or stuff is clamps.
More clamps.
I have a really cool corner clamp, but guess what things have? More than 1 corner. So why would this clamp not come in a pack of 4? 4 corner clamps. I have 1 corner clamp. Seems like a oversight, but my 1 corner clamp is useful. So basically, I wanted to keep my center like a little perfect square and then build around that and make it like kind of unique. So you could put whatever little like fun knickknacks and, you know, souvenirs, etc., wherever you wanted in it, different sizes, etc. And that's kind of the fun thing about this is you can make as many little spaces as you want. And this probably only took 1, 2, 3, maybe like 3 or 4 pallet rungs, pallet boards, whatever. And they're about 3.5 inches wide each one. So yeah, fun little wood project. If you have a miter saw, that's the way to go. Makes this project 10 times easier. And you know, a lot of things you can chop like in bulk as you're going, like all your angles and stuff like that. I started with that. But yeah, so then I'm gonna give it a light sand and I'll stain it. And then we're pretty much good to go. I'll take out my like holding screws because I don't think it'll need it, but you could leave them in if you wanted. So my corners are all 45-degree angles. Again, perfect angles, so satisfying. If you don't know about wood glue, get yourself some wood glue. This brand is one of the best and it cleans up with water. So any drips you have, you just wipe it up with like a wet sponge, a wet rag, whatever, and it comes away pretty nice. Whew, I'm tired. I cleaned up my workspace. Somebody had commissioned me to do these big old wood signs that are wood burned and everything for their kids. And I'll have a little exclusive thing at my Patreon if you want to check them out. They're pretty cool, pretty big, probably one of my biggest wood burns I've done. And I'll probably do a wood burning tip bending thing because I did that to do this. I made new tips, and they worked great. So I'll probably do another video for that, and then I'll also be rock carving, you know. But in the midst of all that, I wanted to do a fun little wood project because I haven't built anything. So, all right, sometime later when this is dry. Alrighty, so I'm all done, and all it cost me was a free pallet, some wood glue, and my miter saw, plus a sander and then stain, just to be completely fair. But my miter saw totally ups your game, makes things way faster cutting wise. Again, with the pallets, I've talked about this before, that I don't spend time trying to get every single piece of pallet apart whole. I use my circle saw and I just chop the ends off, and then if there's a lot of nails in the middle too, I'll chop on either side of the middle rung, and then you end up with like 16, 18-inch pieces. This one I could pull off bigger pieces because there's only like 2 nails in each rung on the ends. But that's what I've learned to do, especially with older pallets where there's like 1,000 nails in them. You just forget about trying to get every single nail out and trying to get every single piece whole. If you're just gonna like do fun projects, use them for carving, or like I use them a lot for wood burning, you don't need them in big chunks. You can just use them in like smaller pieces. It's 10 times faster. Circle saw, done. So I've done it both ways. This is the way to go. I hope you've enjoyed this. Hope you're inspired to build a little knick-knack shelf, give it to somebody for their birthday or for past Christmas, future Christmas, or keep it yourself and put fun things on it, souvenirs. I definitely would use one of these and put all kinds of fun little like souvenirs from trips, rocks, little sculptures you end up collecting, witchy things, herbs, plants, etc. The standard pallet boards that are like 3.5 inches or so make a really good standard size for this. And this pallet was in really good condition, so it made this really easy. So really that's all you need is wood and then a saw and then some wood glue. It's only held together with wood glue. So that's where nice joints come in handy. The angled joints are much stronger than just flat butting pieces of wood together. And miter saws make it so much easier to do that. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this build. I hope you feel inspired that like I can do this stuff, so can you. And you only need really simple tools. Obviously you could do this with a really simple saw. I have the miter saw now and it really does improve your game building wise. It's just faster, but you don't need any of that stuff. You can do it all by hand. All power to you. I've done it. It is satisfying. It is exhausting though. So if you have a nice powered saw, even just a circle saw or something will get you really far. That's what I've had for a while, and it is really useful. And obviously no one needs like multiple saws. You can get away with like one, but my miter saw like has blown my mind. It's really it's really impressed me for not being the most expensive one. I've been really happy with it. So, and I've said this before, like obviously nicer, more expensive brands, they're gonna last longer, they're gonna have more features, they're gonna be fancier in general, but not everyone has $700 they can drop on a miter saw or a chainsaw or whatever. Saws in general are kind of expensive, but not everyone has that kind of money. So sometimes just to get started, you got to pick something a little bit cheaper. This is a custom stain that I have mixed myself. It's a combination of things I did. It's a red mahogany with a golden pecan, and then I finished it with a pickling white is the color, just to like kind of dull the red, because I don't love red stain. Honestly, I wish this was much darker, but I don't have any dark stain right now because I've used all of it because it's my favorite. So, but I think it looks really good. Really like nice, square, etc. All my shelves, you know, are level and they all stay in place. So that's all you need for a shelf. So I appreciate the heck out of you guys. You already know all the things I'm gonna say. Keep liking, watching. I will have a new video next